Hi, everybody. Welcome to Enigma of Success Coffee Date.
We'll talk about business, empowerment, fulfillment, spirituality, and how it's all connected.
Many people ask us about Enigma Coffee, and some of you know the story how it started from an escape room, and that's why there's amazed E in our logo. Oh, it's right here too. I wanted to talk a little bit about it. Maybe
Yeah.
it's actually fun to listen to your perspective, even though it was the same experience, mutual, but like from your perspective and my perspective, and tell people a little bit of details that we usually don't tell in like interviews and.
Sure. You mean about Enigma Escape Rooms or
Well,
about
I
Enigma
think
Coffee?
in order to get to escape rooms in detail, we must talk Enigma
Coffee,
Coffee in detail.
yeah,
We
talk about-
must talk the whole story.
Yeah.
I can, if you want, I can tell you something that is a little before even, because I remembered the day. It was your birthday, December
Yeah.
17th, 2014. I was managing an artist and fully like in co-managing at that time, and I was driving from where I was driving from. Oh, I think I ordered my American the passport, the U.S. passport. I was driving from the post office in LAX where they produced it. I remember driving on La Cienega, which is where we lived at the time.
Yep.
Driving north to La Cienega, and I had this feeling, because none of us thought that there will be any business venture coming into our life, or we want to do any, and more
Yeah.
so things that we don't know exist, like escape
Yep.
rooms. But I had a feeling that and it was your birthday too, so I was planning and everything, but along everything I had a feeling something is coming, a change is coming. And I couldn't it wasn't a conscious decision, I just felt it.
Yeah.
So I come home and I remember you sitting in the bedroom, on the bed, and you're on the phone, but of course, because it's your birthday, people call to congratulate. And by the tone, I realize it's probably your father or your mother or your stepmom.
Right.
And I knew. I don't know how I knew that beside the congratulation, something in that conversation is leading to a new
Something.
place. And then the conversation finishes. I remember coming and asking you, what did your father say? I mean, obviously, happy birthday. And you tell me, he told me about this new concept that they have in Moscow that he went and did recently. Or he was sitting in a sauna with someone, I don't
Yeah.
remember. And some friends.
That sounds weird when you said about the sauna. You mean like he was talking to a friend?
Yeah, well, it's a thing Russians do. They go with friends every week
and
to
just
do a
chat
banya.
a lot
Yeah,
and
chat. And drink
tea
some
and
other things.
alcoholic beverages and whatever.
And
Yes,
Sunday morning. So anyway,
it's
it
a
doesn't-
ritual.
It's a
okay?
ritual, but people
Speaking of
get to talk about business there,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, a lot
So,
of things. It's like golf, but in
and-
Russia.
In the winter, there's no golf in the snow. So,
Well, that's why it's not popular.
but he
there.
says that the kids of his friends or something moved to LA and opened this room and just go and
Right.
check it out.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything about. And I knew. So I asked you, what is it? And you said it's a sort of a room that you go and you play a game and you're trying to escape from it. I had no idea what you're talking about, but I just knew. I said, when can we go and check it out? So we went and checked out the experience, right? And as we're going through the experience, I enjoyed the game, but it wasn't so much that I enjoyed the game, that as I'm going through the game, I can't get rid of the thought that I think we should have this type of business
Right.
without understanding anything about it. And actually, to be completely honest, if I must be completely honest, already back then after the phone call with your dad, I knew we need to open that business. I just wanted to go and see what is that.
Right,
What is
right.
that business we're going to have? So anyway, we came there, and I think the way it went down, if to be completely honest, is that they just moved here from Russia.
Yeah.
And we basically, I think we offered them, let's partner up and just
Yeah.
expand together.
Yeah, they wanted
'Cause
to
we
sell
knew,
us a franchise
well,
instead.
we knew nothing about that business. And they knew a little bit, so for us it would have been easier, right? But we just knew this is a passion. This is, we knew it's a passion. I mean, because we didn't think about it. It was just.
Well,
And then what happened? We met up. Very nice couple. They just wanted to sell us a franchise, and to which we said no, thank
well,
you.
yeah, we didn't want that.
Wish you luck. And I remember we went to Via Laura, the
Oh, yeah,
Italian
yeah,
restaurant
yeah.
in Cannon, and we sat there, and we calculated how much is it going to cost us if we were to take a space and this and this, and we came to a number, $75,000.
Mhm.
And then we called your dad and said, would you loan it to us? And he said, that's all you need. I said, that's what we calculated.
Yeah.
And after the fact, I think in a conversation that we had later a few years back, he said that he had a conversation with his wife that night, and they were drinking wine, and they said, I think it's going to be very challenging for them to do this.
Mhm.
But I can explain. I'm trying to communicate as accurately as possible what both of us experienced back then. It's a business that okay, this people came from Russia. There was another 3 companies that are doing it. Most people didn't even know what it is. You would ask people what
Right,
is
right.
Kibbutz.
Oh my God, it was so funny.
So you're opening a business that is, in general, business is a risky thing that people don't even know that exists, the concept. But we didn't think of any of that. There was some drive. We were sitting in that
Yeah.
restaurant. It was growing. It was so strong that there was a couple, I think
Yeah,
Ukrainian
yeah.
Ukrainian
Yeah.
family sitting next to us.
He was a lawyer.
We
I
told them
remember.
we're opening a business
Yeah.
without before we even decided.
Mhm.
And they were like, which one? I was like, escape room. Would you come?
Yeah,
it
no,
was his
it
grandmother
was
or was something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, he said it's a good idea. I remember.
And we basically that very night start driving around, I think, a little, looking for locations, writing numbers. Then we called our friend who is a realtor in commercial. He showed us a few places. It wasn't the right thing.
I think
But then we ourselves start driving around town
looking for locations.
looking for
yeah.
locations.
I have to give you credit actually because because before
You give me credit.
no, I have to give you credit because right before I was in a state where I felt a little lost in a sort of in a direction of where I want to go, and didn't really know what I want to do at that point in life, and I do have that tendency, but much less now. But at that time I had it much stronger, where if I don't see the way, I don't trust that there is a way. And I think a lot of people can react because, like, when you see there is a way, you're like, okay, I see point A and I see point B. I know I have to get there. But when you're in a dark room, let's put it this way, you're like, I don't see anything. There's no way. And I think that's where I needed to switch that perspective. And that's where you always, and at that point specifically, said, just trust it. Something is gonna come. Something is gonna happen. Just trust it. That was before that phone call. And I just couldn't understand how you can trust something when you don't know what you're trusting and, you know, where you're going and da.
Yeah.
So when it actually happened, I was like, oh my God, like, he was right. Like, it really just, you know, it just how did he know? Like, it just happened, and, you know, and this whole world just opened up out of nowhere. Like, literally, you asked me 2 weeks prior, I'd be like, there's no world. And then 2 weeks later, it's like a whole new world that just opened up
Yeah.
you didn't know existed. And I think a lot of time that's the most challenging thing to do, is to trust.
Yeah.
To trust when you feel there's no light at the end of the tunnel.
I actually forgot about the whole. My story goes like.
I think what that actually instructed me is in the process of when we were building and, you know, looking for location.
Oh, that I don't want to miss details on that story.
No.
Because
no,
that
for sure,
it
but
just the memories are coming to me. It's,
But what I want to say, that moment told me that there's nothing to be afraid of, because if this whole thing happened, then it's meant to be, So when we
Yeah.
were looking for locations, it was very interesting because nobody knew what escape rooms are. Nobody have had that type of business. Landlords were looking at us as if we had like two crazies. Like, what, locking people in the room? Like, what a liability, or whatever. So nobody wanted to lease anything. So yeah, but
I think
but
it will
the
be
thing-
interesting for people though to listen to it as a detail as possible.
No, of course. But what I'm trying to say, yes, we spend like 12 hours a day,
Yeah.
literally driving around.
But I remember I
town,
was still
taking
vegan.
down
I was still
addresses.
vegan, and we lived in West Hollywood. But we chose to drive to Cafe Gratitude, which is like this back
You
then.
know what's
was
funny?
the main-
Julian is
in-
also vegan. That's our videographer. But for some reason, he managed to stay lean. And at the time when we were vegan,
Well, you stayed lean. I gained the most. I was the heaviest when I was vegan. Yeah,
but why did you bring it up though?
because I remember the next day
Oh,
after
yeah.
Via Loro, we decided to start working. About
Mhm.
how we didn't have a location, we didn't have anything. We took our laptop, we took the car, we drove to Cafe Gratitude. I
Mhm.
got my tiramisu and raw vegan tiramisu and coffee. And I remember going on Craigslist because we thought, okay, we don't know anything about it, so we need someone to help us build it.
Mhm.
Forget about the scripts we can somehow come up with, but the game plan, the lighting, the built out of, because escape rooms have a lot of gadgets and magnet sensors and stuff like that. So I go on Craigslist and I go, I'm looking for someone who knows how to build escape rooms. I didn't even know how to call it, so we call it gadgets,
Yeah.
props.
Yeah, we didn't even have the names for
So
those things. We're like, how do you call this?
one
How do
production
you call
company,
a
I
door
must
that
give
opens?
this. I must give this production company. I remember we never hired them because they were out of town. But
The funniest name
especially
ever.
with my limited English at the time, I get
I
an
was
email.
not that limited.
But I get an email from Root Cock Productions, and I'm
This is
like,
not a joke. That's
and
really
you tell
the
me,
name
you
of
know,
the
the
production
cock
company.
means something else.
It's a rooster, obviously.
I did not know it at the time. I said this is a very rude cock, but
He was very cool, the guy.
no,
who
it was very
responded.
cool. He was just out of town, and the fun thing is that we had like 10 people reply. We put some interviews together. The only guy that we ended up hiring,
Turned out to be a scam.
well,
I can.
he. Let's put it this way: he helped come up with one of the rooms, the backstory.
No, that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about Ken, the guy who lived in the Highland Park.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, took $400 from us and disappeared.
Oh,
no, he actually.
no.
Funny
Katia,
thing,
Katia refers to the guy who promised to build us a prop. No, but we actually hired someone
for
to
design.
hire us with help with design, and did help with the lighting, with the ambience
Yeah,
of the room a little
there
bit.
was a nice experience.
Backstory
nice
of apartment apartment 25, a combination of all of our efforts. Point is, there was no one person who just did the whole thing for us. We wanted to build one of the rooms had a secret bookshelf, secret temple. We couldn't find anyone to build it, so we just called a friend to call a friend. Found a carpenter who came
I
and
think-
built the room. Then we found someone else on Craigslist to stain it. Then we found someone else to do the electronics. Then we someone else to redo the electronics.
I think the point of this.
Took us what, 3
that's-
weeks? We finished the whole room.
Yes, we did it in 3 weeks.
17 not 12, it's 17, 18 hours every day we worked. We slept like 2-3 hours and went back to work. And every day you wake up with crazy anxiety, like things don't work out, people flake on you, the scammer. Oh, he's wasted like a week of our time.
Yes. Actually, the time was.
So every time you wake up at
more
6,
upsetting than the money.
this is what I remember. Every single morning, 6 a.m., I would wake up with a feeling that that's it. It didn't work. We wasted already about 20K. Oh my God, what are we doing? And I don't want to get off bed 6 a.m. at 6:01. We're already off bed and doing.
Yeah.
So at the same time as this whole thing is happening, and we just go and do it.
I think important thing out of this is actually a couple of things. First, we knew nothing about escape rooms or how to do this. You know, they say sometimes that, you have to go into.
That's okay.
Into the type of business that at least you know something about. And we've learned multiple times, because that's not the only business that we
Yeah.
built from scratch that we knew nothing about. But
Oh,
that was a very interesting.
Not only we knew nothing about the Secret Temple, that very first room that room we designed, the game plan was all, I think, I designed the whole puzzle and you did the whole story. Later, was mentioned as one of the best escape rooms
Yep. Yep.
by Forbes, right?
Yeah.
Forbes mentioned the
Yeah,
Secret Temple and the
Forbes,
Will,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. But well, that is what I'm saying is it's literally what I've learned at that time was that you do not have to have any specific knowledge about that specific thing. It's much more about certain skills that you have to possess that have nothing to do with education nor
Nerves
with
of
knowing
steel.
something. Yes.
That's the main skill.
Yes, actually, yeah, there was two things I think.
Oh,
that
I wanna. By the way,
1 second.
I wanna
but
give credit.
I wanted
forgot.
to give credit.
No, I wanna give credit to your father, not just for that
That's what
phrase,
yeah.
because he spent on the phone with us.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has business experience. He was almost like our Tony Robbins at the time,
Yeah.
which was amazing because he told us a few things that are gonna happen. He said, "You're gonna build it." First of all, we got the keys February 14th. He said that we must open March 1st.
Yeah.
And
It set us a deadline,
they
which
said
was
that-
amazing.
2.5 weeks. Guys, this is not like, this is not to buy furniture. This is to build secret bookshelves,
Yeah.
magnet sensors, gadgets, pedestals that are rising, install virtual reality.
And he was tough. He was like,
He was like,
how far are you on?
yeah, every day. And
Like he made us feel bad, right? Because we missed the deadline by 7 days.
we missed the deadline by 7 days. He
He's
made
like,
us feel bad.
"Aha."
But no, it was amazing because later we met people that had built one room for a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No
it's-
judgment there, but like for us, that was the only option.
I think it was extremely.
But I want to give credit because
valuable-
he said a few things were going to happen that actually happened. And if he would not have told that to us, having no experience in business, it would be way harder.
Yeah.
Just by him saying it. So I would love to, actually, I would love to share it because if any one of you is about to build a business or opening a business or in the future and it can help, I would love to give you the same advice. He said, you're going to finish building it perfectly and then you're going to open it for business. And then it's very possible that for a month, 2, 3, no one is going to come.
Yep.
He said, this is, first of all, a few things you need to understand. It's normal. It's absolutely normal.
Yep.
And I remember hearing this thinking, no, I don't want it to happen. But it did.
And that's exactly
Maybe
what happened.
not 3 weeks. You said you just have to know that Walmart has failed 3 times. I don't remember the story.
Yeah.
It's
No, we did not
normal.
want to fail.
This is it's very natural.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember what we did is that when it actually happened, March 10th, we had our first. March 7th, we did the testing with our friends. And then March 10th, I think we had the first customers.
No, I think it was later. I think it was March 14. I remember we were
Christine.
sitting for a week.
Christine came, right?
I
with
think
her.
yeah, I think it must have been
Yeah.
14 because we were sitting for a week. I remember.
Well,
With like crickets.
yeah. But that's just two customers, 2 tickets, $60. And
It
then
was,
another week for $60.
That actually
And
was
then
the most exciting
so
moment.
I remember you didn't want to go to the office. I said, what do we have to do? I said, no, we have to be in the office.
Yeah.
It's like, why? People book on the website, they don't come in.
Yeah.
I remember coming in there and seeing there was a computer. I opened the website as if I'm a user and I'm looking at the calendar. And I remember thinking, if this calendar is only 30% booked, we are grossing $50,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to make sure those slots are booked. Look how much power this calendar has.
Yep.
And I remember both of us looking at that screen. Okay. I remember writing on a piece of paper. Okay, March is almost done. Gonna make $2,000 gross. Remember we did it together. I said April. I want to gross $10,000. $14,000 in May. June 15. July, the summer, let's go to 19. Funny enough, for the most part, it's exactly how it unfolded. And because we came to the office, I remember doing 2 things. Going to the couch in the Secret Temple and meditating
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing else to do. Not thinking, not visualizing, not imagining. Just clear the mind from worry. Then I would go to, there was a coffee bean. We didn't have a coffee shop back then, obviously.
Yeah.
The coffee bean, I would go there and I would literally harass people and tell them, do you want to be locked in a room for free just to play the experience? I wanted people to just get familiar with the concept, so I did everything I could. It was a busy coffee shop back then, so I went there and I spoke to random people. Funnily enough, someone brought a date about a week later, so it worked.
Yeah.
And then another thing I did, I went and I saw who writes about entertainment or any type of experiences, haunted houses, stuff like that. I picked up the writers. Back then, they would still share their email, and I would email them. And about 3 days later, Juliet, her name, I think, replied
Juliet.
for LA East. And she said, I'm actually doing this article about this new concept, escape rooms, and I have one more room that I haven't space to mention. We would love to come in a few days with my friends and do the room. I said, sure, come. We didn't even have the walkies yet, so I actually had to be in the room with them. I literally sat like on a couch.
It got better after.
And then a week later and 2 weeks later, I think she mentioned, and that's it. In April, I think the sales went up to like 15, 20. LA's really helped. It brought a lot of traffic.
It did.
I remember the first time that we got a booking on the website for like 5 months forward, like a bachelor party.
Yep.
People
oh my
from
God.
Texas.
We had bachelor parties, engagements, birthdays, celebrities, team buildings. What did we not have? Like so many things. It was a really fun run. I mean, at some point, we should tell the whole story. It's super fun. But
to talk about the customers of Enigma is a separate episode.
Oh, 100%. I would like to talk about Yelp customers more specifically. But no, but I think the interesting thing about this whole thing is that it was the moment where we went for it. And as you were saying, it's like the drive was there. It's not like we were pushing ourselves or motivating ourselves. No, the drive was just strong. And I think I've heard it before, and I can definitely attest to the same. They say that if you want to do any kind of business, better pick the business that you're super passionate about, because there'll be moments where you want to give up, and this passion is the only thing that's going to drive. That's what. Yes, I mean that's the magic of it. That's.
But I want people to understand something, because I want to slowly transition to coffee. I want to give a little bit of the experience, how it was for that year before we even started thinking about coffee. So we start with that slowness, and then parties, and then corporate events. And then we build the second room, I think, a month later, and then we build the third room about 5 months later. And they're all built by different people, and we met, the third room was very high tech. Also hilarious. I mean, and now we can say it, but like we would schedule huge team buildings for the amount of people that the new room can take with the previous rooms before it was ready.
Yeah. Then we'll push ourselves to the limits to finish in time.
It was always nerve-wracking, because we have a Bank of America, whatever, corporate event coming, 30 people, and this room is not ready the 2 days before, and we're like, and it's not like a room where you can.
But funnily enough, it was ready. By the time it needed to be ready, it was ready. Again, it's about this trusting.
But it was us spending there quite a lot of time. We had employees, but this business required our presence there. And celebrities came, Seth Rogen came, a bunch of people came.
Oh, a bunch of.
And then towards about the beginning of 2016, it was madness, because we were mentioned in Forbes, and just like it was like non-stop booking coming on the website for a few days later, for a week later, for a week and a half later. I remember though that I personally had realizations, and I would share with you. We always share with each other. There was one time, if I remember, that I realized that, oh wow, it seems like the now is the most safe place to be.
Say it one more time.
The now is the safest place for you to be. And it's already given to you. But you do the extra job to go away from it.
The mind.
So when the coffee shop inspiration came, I was in the mindset that it just came, and now is the time to act. I didn't think. So the way I mean, I will tell the story again, even though we told it already many times, is that I went to throw the trash, and there was a homeless guy hanging out in the back parking lot. We knew him from day one, because the building, when before the escape room, it was a lot of things going on behind the building. We kind of personally, literally asked politely everyone who's doing
Yeah.
illegal stuff there to leave. And
illegal
and,
stuff.
and this
There's
guy
a
was
bunch of
so
illegal stuff.
respectful, and
No,
you
he
know,
was- he was a great
sitting
guy.
there with a jug of milk in the back. He just wanted to use the water and the outlet of the building.
Nobody knew he was homeless.
Yeah, he was.
He
He
was,
looked like a security guy of the building. So, so I come and every day we would see him. Hello, Lance, how are you? And we would come in, and then one time I go throw the trash, and it's like, Yoni. I'm like, hi, Lance, how are you? Hey, can I have you for a second? What are you guys doing upstairs? I mean, it's been already at least a year, and he's seen all these people. Like, the escape rooms were on the second floor,
Yep.
so we didn't really hang out at the first floor. We would not see the people come to the parking. We would not see them leave from the parking. We would not see them hanging in the building, outside the building. So, I'm like, well, it's like, we're trying to explain to him in language. Like, it's like Indiana Jones in real life. People kind of play a game, pay us
Yeah.
money to be locked in a room. They're actually locked with an emergency button, but they're locked. Then they pay. And as I'm telling him this, I'm like, hey, why are you asking? Do you want to do the experience? He's like, no. I just want to tell you, whatever you guys doing there, it brings a lot of happiness to the world. I'm like, really? How do you know that? He goes, well,
Well, the
people-
world is a little broad.
Well, that's what he
To
told.
people, you mean to
No,
to
no.
people who
That's
did
what he
it.
said. I mean, you bring it to the world, to the people of the
Yeah.
world, not to the. He meant that we make a lot of people.
Millions, but thousands actually.
He ma-
Thousands of people
Well,
went
the
through
exact number
experience.
is about 82,000 that came between 2015 and 19, based on our. I mean, even if you go to our Instagram that still exists, Enigma Escape Rooms,
Yeah, but just
and
by
you
the
go by the
pictures.
amount of posts and multiply by the amount of people, per
yeah,
each.
yeah. No, it was crazy.
So, I'm like, how do you know they're happy? He's like, well, they're standing in here for an hour talking about the experience. I'm like, wait. An hour after the experience? So people come in, wait for 15 minutes, sometimes longer depending when they arrive, do the experience for up to an hour, then they come out and wait another hour. So I come upstairs, never thought about this idea before
Yeah.
that moment. I never thought of the word coffee, never thought of the word
Shop.
shop. Didn't think any of that business.
Yeah.
Didn't have any inspiration until that moment. Took me about 2.5 minutes to come from Lens to upstairs. There was I think some groups playing, and we were both in the control room, and I told you we're opening a coffee shop downstairs. I didn't even know if there's a space available.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew that if we push enough, the landlord.
Well, and funny enough.
And you said, really? I'm like, yeah. Customers are waiting downstairs. They need to enjoy something. Instead of waiting in the parking, they should wait in the coffee shop. At the time, we both thought it's going to be a synergy. So they're going to,
Yeah.
do the escape room and come downstairs. Later, it ended up being a completely different journey. But that's how it
Yeah,
started.
it just turned out different crowds actually.
And I remember you met with the landlord,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and he told you that if you want to do it right, be on the corner, right?
Yeah, that was actually a very good advice. That's actually, I think, one takeaway that I definitely took and people can take is that it's along the lines of you don't have to see the path to walk it, because things happen and you just have to trust, because like the puzzle just started putting itself together. The landlord said, oh, no, you have to be on the corner, just out of nowhere. And there was a tenant in that space.
And as
and
you
he's
tell me
like,
this, memories come to mind, like things I didn't think. I remember that as we were sharing that idea with people, specifically a few friends of mine that I would meet with, like coffee shop, like, why?
Yeah.
It's not your telling me it's not your passion, and I'm like, well,
Well, some people would say, oh, you know nothing about it. Yeah, actually, I can proudly say
but it's
I
funny.
knew
I didn't even
nothing
try to
about
fight it because inside I knew that now it is my passion. You're like, why you're not doing music? You're just trying to. I'm like, but right now I don't want to do music right now.
Yeah.
I want to do this.
No, I think it's a lot of the times you're fighting against first your perception of how you are perceived in the world, and then all those people giving you advice that you didn't ask for. And actually, that's advice. That's the advice I love the most. I didn't ask you for it. Why are you giving it to me?
I think
But
what they're doing, they're trying to lower their own pain at that moment.
well, yeah. I mean, I think it's one thing that I've definitely learned is that if someone is telling you something, especially if it comes from fear, that's the fear inside that it's coming from, and they're trying to tell you not to do something because they're afraid to do something, and yeah. So that's why I'm very cautious about advice in general,
Mhm.
because like if people like positive I always think people should share. I love to share, but if you're trying, I mean, I don't know, I just almost feel like, who am I to say that something is not gonna work? How do I know
Well,
that that's gonna be the case?
here's
Like, why people
he-
so easily give
Do you
this
know-
unsolicited, oh no, it's too
Do you know
tough, don't
what's-
get into this
yeah.
industry, it's just too tough, it's too competitive, it's too whatever.
What
I mean, have you
what
done
is-
it? Or even if you've done it, like, why your experience has to be my experience? You know what I mean? Like, it's
What is
It's
the
bizarre.
most? You're absolutely right. But what the most frustrates me about this type of people, I see through it miles away. But I know that they're not just telling this to me. They will be spreading it with other people. Like if they meet someone else who wants to do something.
but that's why I always say,
Recently, it's like both of we spoke about it, right? That it's we like to, we poke, like, come on, bring it on. Like for me, it's
because now it's fun now, because you're in your strength, and from that point you can, but when you're in your weakness, and you can be in your I mean, I can be in my weakness at points in time, you know what I mean, like this in being in your strength is not a constant. It's not like, oh, now I've arrived, I'm in my strength forever. No, that moves, goes away, and then the weakness creeps in. But when you're in that weakness, that's when you have to remember, because that are the moments when that advice will be hurting you the most, or you'll be reacting to it the most, and you have to say, wait a second, let me just reposition myself, but not be kind of led by those kind of things. But one thing which was my takeaway, my big takeaway, which I guess I didn't necessarily feel at that time, was, oh my God, you can really do anything. You don't have to have any background in that specific thing. You can put your focus, your mind, your efforts, your energy into something and literally do anything that you want. I mean, again,
in the
Moscow
beginning
is a
we
great
thought,
example, because electrical cars, space, like things that people that you have no, you have no experience with space. Like, where are you going? But it's exactly that. I think it's the limiting beliefs that tells us, oh no, I shouldn't, like, get out of this lane. No, of course you should get out of all lanes. Do
yeah, as long as you have natural inspiration, and it's important that people also don't hear this and be like, okay, I need to do that because they did it. No, someone introduced me to a video by someone named Muji many years ago, and I was actually right before we met, and it changed my life. And I don't like the word follow, and I don't like the word guru, but if I were to use words to explain that he is a guru, and I'm, I can't say following him, but I'm watching his videos here and there. Not too many people can bear watching it. Some people feel enormous anxiety when they see certain videos of his. I have some of my friends, they're afraid to talk about those topics. It's incredible that there's topics people are afraid to talk about. Basically, I forgot it's Halloween today. I see customers dressing up.
it's fun. I like it.
Oh, a cowboy walked in. Cowboy.
Breaks the
The status quo.
The status quo.
Basically, it's nothing scary. It's asking the basic questions of who am I, and most people will be like, who am I? What a silly question. I am such and such or such and such. But honestly, um, it's very important for people to stop for a second and try to answer that to themselves, and see if the answer is that easy.
I
But
think
satsang is basically the search for answers to difficult questions, and um, the reason people gather in satsangs in India is like, there's one basically guru answering questions and stuff like that, is because beings that have reached a point where they realize that they want to stop the suffering, and they know that just doing that does not stop the suffering. Showing the world that you're happy does not stop the suffering, and satsang is basically a way to do self-inquiry and find that stable place that shows you that you are already absolutely happy without even being happy, without the concept of happiness, and you just um, um, need to discover it. Now, not all gurus are pure, not all gurus are real. Some people, it's like politics
Yeah,
and religion,
charlatans.
make a lot in India to make money on it or power on it or whatever, make cults out of it. But that's what satsang is, for people who don't know.
I want to preface this by saying that we do this quite often,
Yeah,
just two of us, and
spontaneously without ever kind of planning it.
And we wanted to do this on camera and just to sort of, I mean, showcase is not the right word, but to whatever the right word is, but and also just to see how it flows spontaneously, because this is not prepared, this is not planned. It's just gonna flow, and as we spoke many times before, the flowing, the trusting, is the hardest part. And I think I found myself, as quite a lot of people that I've listened to and spoke with who've achieved any sort of success, that diving into the scariest is the most amazing
Into
thing.
the scariest?
The most amazing thing they've ever done, and that's where the treasure always is, in that scariest. So I think that's really, really inspiring to do. But also another thing which you just said, about sort of pausing for a second in this constant rush of life, because it is like, I think our life, like if you take a movie, instead of being on play, we're like on forward button multiplied by 8. We're moving so fast because of, like, again, social media, and everything's just faster, where I don't know why I'm whispering. Why am I whispering? But everything is so fast that I've noticed that people are paying so little attention to anything written, anything spoken, anything happening. It's just so much things are missed, because a lot of the times everyone is just listening kind of like yeah, but very superficially, and nobody finds time or desire or moment to just pause, and I think that's very important to do.
So, absolutely true. And if you can summarize any type of complaint came to me. So any type of complaint from anybody you hear ever, right? The complaint always starts with I. So most people take it as a given, the I, And then whatever comes after the I, that's what they focus on. And the energy is right there. I'm saying, first, I want to ask you if you're absolutely clear who that I is. And if some of you, the reflex right now is what a silly question. Some of you might, some people who are listening to this might be like, well, I actually understand exactly what you're talking about. Some people have a attraction to what I'm saying. Some people have an irritation for what I'm saying. Same words.
Mm-hmm.
But many people who are listening to this will experience different things. I remember that me, myself, first time I was introduced to the person who sent it to me, I asked him, I remember the phone call, please never send me this stuff ever again. I remember it's so hilarious to me right now. But and then about 2 weeks later, me, myself, I dove into this. And so I'm not going to give any answers to this question. It's an individual thing. But if you think that the answer is it's me, the person, then please define what that is.
Well,
because if this is just the body, or then there's many versions of the body. Baby, then adult, then old. So then how many versions of you?
It's
if it's just the body. But also, even in our language, in every single language, English, Russian, Hebrew, Arabic, you don't say me body, you say my body, my hand. It comes with, it's intuitive to us to understand that we are not the body.
It's an accessory.
Then
right?
It is. And one of the proofs to it is that you are aware of your body. But again, some people listening to this feel attraction to these words. Some people, all depends on the level of openness. Some people feel irritation. So the more irritated you are, whoever is exposed to this type of questions, the more scared you are, the more you want to say this is nonsense, the more you want to say this is, I'm trying to brainwash me, the more this type of thoughts coming into your mind, I highly encourage you to ask yourself why.
Mm-hmm.
What is it in what I'm saying? I'm just asking you to simple question. Investigate who you are. And this is changing a lot. I've seen people who are brave enough to dive into this. Of course, the change happens inside. But funny enough, that right after it happens inside, without any special desire for it, because actually this removes desire, because desire is very attached to the body-mind identity. Once the identity of that is kind of moving into like a screen, it's still there. I'm sitting here, but there's another dimension. Once you are more focused on that dimension, on the outside, many people will still see you as a person coming in, drinking coffee, saying this. But because of that space, I have seen life changing physically for people. I have a friend who I did not want to dive into this deep conversation, because actually I've been saying I'm not talking about these topics with everybody. There are certain people that I know, that I hang out with, I absolutely know that their mind has
machine
gun bodyguards, will not tolerate this type of topic, meaning they won't let in. They would immediately be, oh, this is nonsense. So let's move. Let's talk about billiards, or
billions.
Yeah. Like, come on. Anyway, I want the car, and then again, the I comes back to the picture. And I had a meeting with a friend who basically a few years ago, he calls me and he's like, hey, I just need someone to talk to. I can find. He didn't tell me that on the phone, but he said, I think I'm going to move back to my country. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm like, really? Oh, let's meet up. So meet up. we sit in a similar setting like that, and he basically says how, he can find the love of his life, and he does in a relationship, and he thinks he has, um, um, you know, a mom syndrome, meaning like because the women he's dating are like his mom. Is that how it's called? Freud or whatever.
How is it called? But
Doesn't matter.
Something like that.
Because his father abused his mom, so psychologically, because he's becoming like his father, he needs to attract someone like that. Not that he is an abuser, is the sweetest guy in the world, but he thought that that's the case. Some psychologist told him that. And I didn't plan to, but spontaneously I said the only way to help him is to crush him. Crush his person, not him. And I just did I just asked some simple questions. I mean, where are you physically located right now? Okay. And I don't want to replicate because it's not going to have the same effect. I don't even remember. But basically what happened, it was a spontaneous satsang, after which his mind completely opened. He didn't think anything changed, but I had proven to him that the version of himself that he had seen, that he believed himself to be, even the one that's changing, even the one that was once more spiritual, less spiritual, or more, more motivated by business, less all of that one is still the same identity, doing all those different things. That this identity is not 100%. It's also what you are, but it's not 100% of what you are. There's another dimension. Once I penetrated there and I succeeded that night, I felt it. We shook hands. And by the way, this is one of those friends that are very close friends, but we might not be in touch for 2-3 years. Then when we meet up, it feels like everyone have those friends.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any intention to help him in anything specific in life. I just wanted him to stop suffering because I saw his suffering, and it spontaneously came. I didn't plan in that meeting I just wanted to listen. Actually, I came there to listen. Guess what happens 3 weeks later? I see on Facebook he goes to a hike, meets a girl, they start dating. I can sense that this is different this time. And then we have some Ventura Boulevard action, and then it's been now 3 years. They're married and they have a beautiful baby girl, and other things, other good things happen in his life. Now, do I take any credit for it? Is it because of that night? I don't know. I have no idea. I can just tell you that I felt magic is happening that night. I also felt like, remember when we spoke once about choice? It wasn't my choice. It wasn't me as Yoni doing it. I felt like a radio transmitter that just passes along information, and that's it.
I think, as we're talking about identity, I think that's sort of...
It happened to us in the car one time, remember? When suddenly I asked you, what's the distance between us?
And those questions, as actually Muji says, those are just great questions to ask. It's not even about the answer; it's just the question. But the identity, I think, is a good place to sort of pause and marinate for a second, because I feel that for different people, the openings happen in different ways, right? A huge opening for me was becoming a mom, because the amount of seeing that happened to me, I always say that, and I still think it's very true. I'm not religious, but I was always very curious about history of religion, and just anthropology and all that. And I cannot say for all religions, but I definitely know about Christianity, that there is a prayer in Christianity that specifically focuses on one thing. It asks God to give you sight to see, to give you seeing. And I always thought about it in a superficial way, obviously, seeing with your eyes. And then suddenly it hit me. It has nothing to do with your eyes. It's the inner seeing that just opens a whole different dimension for you. And that's what the prayer is about.
How is it
And
related to your mom? You wanted to say?
No, not my mom, about being a mom.
Oh, being
What
a
I'm
mom.
saying is, the experience was given to me, but it's not the experience itself that gave me that seeing. Something inside was open for that seeing,
Mhm.
because not everybody. What I'm trying to say, it's not a secret pill. Or everybody have to become a parent, and therefore, they'll become more aware and more, open. But I'm saying that for me, I started having revelations that were so obvious, like starting with, speaking of identity, starting with the simple, how do you name the naming of your child, which happened to all of us, obviously, because our parents gave us a name.
Mm-hmm.
And something that we're so attached to right now, and yet at a certain point in time, that was just a hypothetical. You didn't have a name, and
Yep.
and that name, now people will fight you over. That's my name. You just have to say it right. You have to do this. Oh, don't call me this. Call me that.
That's most people are still identified with their car. You scratch my car like they scratch them.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I'm not even going that far, but even that point is already an amazing point, because none of us had that at certain point, and yet now it's so solid. Everything, including the name, is something that was either given or acquired, sometimes through parents or through education, through parental education or school or whatever. And yet it gets so solidified in us that we feel that's us. But if we actually track it down, not that far, it's kind of far, of course, like 20 years, 30 years back
It was
to
not
the beginning.
originally to you.
It was not original, and it's clear it wasn't original, because
Some people it's clear, but even right now, as you say it, many viewers might be like, it's uncomfortable.
I get it, but what I'm saying,
No.
it's clear in a sense that everybody would agree that before your mom gave you the name, you did not have a name.
Yeah.
And let's say,
Most people don't like to go that far. They're comfortable with the way things are.
isn't it funny
Remember in the movie
that everybody want to go into on the memory lane, but yet this is a little too far.
I highly advise people to, if never experienced spirituality or not into it, no worries. I highly admire. That's not the right word. I highly advise that they watch the movie The Matrix, the first one,
Mm-hmm.
and in the following way: that each character in the movie is an aspect of you.
Oh wow.
Because, first of all, if you have not watched this movie, I highly recommend.
Do you think they knew when they made the movie?
They as who?
They
As the
as
names?
Wachowski brothers turned Wachowski sisters.
But they as who? Again, Wachowski is a name.
I
Who
know.
created the movie? You want to go that far? But here's a small thing I want to tell you. If you can observe it, it is not you. If you can observe it. But many people might say, oh, what bullshit. We cannot observe something and be the same thing at the same time. And I'll be like, okay, everything you observe comes and goes. I challenge you to challenge me. What doesn't? If you were the thing you observe, every time it disappears, you would disappear with it. But you're here to report to me that it went and gone. I observe this cup. My awareness of the cup different than my awareness of the body. I'm using the same awareness. challenging you on that one. I'm using the same awareness to experience my breath, to be aware of my thoughts, to be aware of the consciousness that I feel in this body. You know, when they say, I'm conscious now, even that I can report about, which means that the things that come and go, I'm using the same awareness. Almost like awareness is almost like a tool, right? Like a spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, instead of the word awareness, you can say
Seeing.
the now. Because how many times you have not seen someone for 30 years? Seems like a long time, but when you meet them, it feels as natural as looking as if you met them 30 years ago. It happens every single time. Especially close people to you, people who move to a different part of the world and suddenly their family members come to visit, experience this all the time. They have this, oh my God, I haven't seen my parents so long, the emotions are going to be such and such, until the very moment that they meet. After half an hour, you sit in a restaurant, and some people share those thoughts, some people don't, but they all think the same. Oh my God, why does it feel like we always stayed to live in the same house? Because you bring the now everywhere you go. And that is the questions that I highly recommend to ask yourself when you're especially experiencing suffering, anxiety, and fear. Ask yourself who is experiencing them, because if the answer is clear, please write it down.
It's actually a very good thing to do. Trying to write it down, and that, because that reveals a lot. But you know what's interesting? What you saying, because again, the words are very tricky, very helpful, but very tricky also. Because what you're saying is that familiarity, comfort, ease, of like, I just saw you yesterday, it feels like, even though it was whatever amount of years ago. There's that. At the same time, you can judge from your own life. You now, let's define that you first of all, but you now and you 10 years ago, those are two completely different people.
Part of the reason it seems like that on the outside is because that realization on the inside. I feel, people tell me, I feel lighter, I feel more confident. I don't know any of those things. I don't know any of those terms. What I know is my inside world, how I experience it. I guess when you are just the physical, and when I say the physical, even religious people experience themselves as the body mind. They just tell you that they're the soul. But everything about their body language, in my experience, a lot of the times, not all.
I've seen mystics.
No, sometimes, by the way, sometimes religious people actually are spiritually also awakened. That's just the play they're playing. It's absolutely fine. But people who sometimes make the religion out of the religion, I have experienced. It's another, and this is why you see people murder in the name of religion all the time, when in every single religion, the main command is not to murder, and you see people that are religious doing violent thing in the name of religion, which is the biggest paradox ever. But it's because of the wrong identity. The identity is like a program, like a computer program that does not want to be erased. And that's exactly the reason why it's so uncomfortable to talk about it, because inside your brain there are formed programs. The main program is the attraction to the body. And by the way, no one has, it's like a natural play of life. So what I was saying, no one did it, it's not wrong or right. The natural play of life is that when we're born into this world, an attraction to the body begins and forms the identity of a person. And then what kind of person, and so on and so on. Later, this person attracts to itself all the things that persons do.
How much do you think it's natural, and how much is it taught?
Anything here is natural. Even what you call unnatural is natural.
I didn't say unnatural.
No, no,
I
no,
said
not
taught.
you. I said, but when I say you, I mean everybody.
Right. But I mean, like,
Taught by who?
by parents, by
Who are parents?
On what level are you asking me that question?
How many levels are there are? Which level do you want me to answer? Then I'll.
No, many.
You're
if you
asking
ask
about
me,
natural, so I go to the deepest place, the most natural place.
Well, if you go to the deepest place, parents.
Who are they? We just discussed a second ago. Are they the body? Are they the mind? Are they the consciousness?
Well, I'm referring to the mind. That's.
But the mind is absorbed by something else. That means it cannot be original, which means it cannot itself teach anything. Something powers it.
Right, but the.
It's like saying, well, the computer announced to go and do that bad thing, but someone pre-programmed that computer to announce it.
Right, but if we stay at the what's on that screen of the computer, meaning what's the parents.
If you want to talk in the non-satsagi level of things, of course, the parents thought they chose to give you a name. And we discussed what choices, scientifically proven that might not exist. So they chose to
I
give the
100%
name.
believe it did not exist for me when I chose the name of my son.
So all our parents did not choose their names. It cannot be that you did not choose and they did.
I mean, it's universally.
So no one chose.
No one chose.
So no one taught anything.
That's what I think. Indeed. Yeah.
The conclusion is no one. And nothing.
It's actually
the conclusion of this episode.
But you know what's funny? It's actually a very comfortable place to be. Because if you really just dive into that, because then the exploration is endless, and in a good way, not in a bad way. Meaning, you're not. You can just explore. You don't have to blame anybody. You know, you don't have to blame the parents. Oh, they did this. They taught me this. They put those things into me. You know, it kind of just lets you look at things as is, without, you know, because I think a lot of the times we get caught up in whose fault it is, instead of what are we actually experiencing. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, I understand that it can be triggering to people, like, you know, especially, God forbid, something terrible happened or some trauma or whatnot. But there's always, I think it's really hard to say, look, it doesn't necessarily matter where this came from to me. The only thing that matters is how I'm interacting with what's there in my life. And that is entirely your choice. Sometimes I see this very clearly. Not always, but sometimes I see that very clearly. It's entirely your choice, because the only thing that exists is your perspective on things. And you can see it. It's your power to see it in whichever way that's some you inside of you wants to experience it. Even the most horrific things, but you know, we don't have to go to horrific, just the life things. It's all a matter of perspective. It's coming back to that simple glass half full, half empty type of talk. And really, that's all there is.
I agree. I guess that concludes it.
Till next time.
Till next time. So I really enjoyed having a date with you.
Me too.
After
Cheers
all
to
these
that.
years, having a date with you is like the first time. By the way, fun fact:
Mm.
we are actually sitting in a coffee shop that we've built in 20. That was the second location, so 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Our first date, this is Tarzana, was a block away from here in Coffee Bean
True.
in 2011.
Oh wow, 10-year anniversary.
Yeah. No, but it's kind of mystical that our date is
is.
here.
It
Cheers
is.
again.
Cheers.
I hope the reason we're doing those talks is that as we talk, we hope that magic goes and helps people. That's pretty much
Yep.
our goal. So thank you so much for watching. You say thank you to this camera.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching.
Namaste.